your go-to source for all things 2024 election. I'm your moderator, Raquel Herring, joined by our host, Shakia Moore, and our Republican host, Willie Montague. With just 21 days until the election day, the race is tighter than ever, and every decision, every move counts. Let's jump into today's key campaign updates and check out what's happening on the trail. As we know, many states are still suffering with aftermath of recent hurricanes. Former White House advisors have claimed that during his presidency, Donald Trump hesitated to provide disaster aid to California due to its Democratic leaning. And fast forward, Trump refused to give California wildfire aid until he was told how many people there voted for him. In your opinion, is this a glimpse of what to expect if Trump is reelected, Shakia?
Absolutely. I don't expect anything less from what we've seen with Trump. I mean, when he was president, I'm so glad you mentioned that example, because that is exactly what he did. It's unprecedented-like to divide and choose who you're going to provide aid to when you're the president.
Right.
It's when you are president, I assume, right, that you are supposed to provide equality and resources and benefits to all, not just those who voted for you.
Right.
But this is the same man who just said over the weekend that Americans have enemies within. So if you're calling Americans enemies, like, why would we vote for somebody like that? Like, I just don't understand how people can even have, you know, the wherewithal to think that Trump would be anything than what he's already proven to us over the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay, listen, I don't understand about this current administration, why they continue to just harp on President Trump and live in the past. It is alarming that they cannot move forward with a positive. If you are such a good replacement for Biden and you do not want this big bad orange man, as they say, to get in office, why not focus on what is good about you?
But the thing is, it's not even about that. I think Trump provides his own narrative. Every day, he's saying something that is so belligerent and disrespectful to communities that he wants votes from.
But
so
again,
it's not even about Kamala not doing her job.
It goes about, well, I didn't even mention her. I mean, she's not, but I didn't mention her at this moment. She's coming up later. But but what I'm trying to
Here
say,
we go.
What I'm trying to
Happy
get to,
Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday. It's leadership.
Is
We get
about
it.
helping everyone across the board,
You're
not picking and
absolutely
choosing
correct.
just who
But
likes me
if
and who
we
doesn't.
want to dissect both parties, then we need to. I want you to come up with this and give the list of how disgusting some of the radical left has been towards Republicans. Disgusting. I get called a coon.
Give an example, Will.
I get called a coon.
You
get called a coon.
Okay.
All right.
Do you think that is okay?
That is not
It's
okay.
not okay.
Thank
but
you.
you give a little coon vibe.
Court is adjourned.
With disaster aid being such a
I still
serious
love you, though.
and current issue, oh my goodness, with disaster aid being such a serious and current issue, do you think Trump's strategy will either help or hurt his election chances when election day comes? Go ahead, Willie.
What strategy? He is moving forward. Remember, Harris has not been the president of the United States ever. President Trump has. He has a strategy that is winning and that is moving the American people forward. If you look at the staggering number, you wouldn't have to have the lapdog President Obama going out there thirsting for black male votes if she was such a good person to be able to be the president of the United States.
You're not going to talk about my president like that. You're not going to talk bad about President
Don't let him do it. Don't let him do it.
I believe that President Trump is doing what he needs to do. Because if you got to beg and thirst, then that shows the lack of the ability to do what you need to do.
Will you act as if like her bringing on former President Obama onto her campaign is just so like out of the ordinary when you have I can't even think of the bald-headed white girl name who was she's known for like the sex walk. She's the Amber Rose.
Oh my Lord.
You have Amber Rose, and then you have Hulk Hogan, who still
Amber
watches.
Rose, Hulk Hogan are not elected officials.
No, they're not.
was.
But they are there to cause influence on voters who wouldn't typically even look at Trump.
Okay, influence
so
on
let's bring it
voters.
full circle.
Influence on voters is one thing. What President Obama did, and I have read comments on multiple stages from both party sides, they did not like he was coming, begging or demanding a black man to have to vote for Harris because she's a black woman.
No, and I get that. And I've also seen both sides of the coin on social media and looking at different news sources. But at the end of the day, it's almost as if like you have someone who's already been in this seat where we had mostly all of the black communities voting for him into office, who was all, riled up, fired up, change is going to come into America. We get him into office. And so he's coming in like, hey, y'all did this for me. Why not do this for a woman? But then that goes to my point that I made the other day.
Well, you know why?
A lot of folks don't want a black woman in office.
Many people, and I did not, many Republicans voted for President Obama. Now, this is the issue that happened. The issue that tilted some people to not trust him was because his introduction, he started off, him and Biden both saying they were not going to be for bringing in all of this same-sex marriage and all those things. He instantly flipped it.
I don't recall them ever saying
he
that.
Did.
Obama has always been very liberal and upfront about his love and respect for same-sex marriages.
He literally wanted there to be the foundation.
Well,
we will fact check.
We need to fact check this because here we are throwing out
fact check it.
Stay tuned for the latest campaign highlights. And now it's time to move on to political programs. Paid family leave is a standard benefit in most developed nations, offering support not just for new mothers, but for a range of family health concerns. Yet for many American workers, it remains an elusive goal, with the U.S. being one of the few countries without guaranteed paid family leave. Do you think there will ever be a realistic path to making this a reality for American families, Shakia?
I think it's really sad that we are in such a developed country and we're still trying to fight for something as simple as family leave, not just maternity leave.
Yeah.
We're accustomed to seeing women taking a couple of weeks off or 12 weeks off, but that's if you save up enough time to do that, right?
Right.
And so just recently we're seeing where fathers are like, no, I actually want to be home with my family as well. So some companies are giving them 3 weeks or a month to have time with their newborn. But it's also very hypocritical on one end where we want families to have children, but then we're penalizing them for family leave. So it's like, which side of the coin are we on?
Yeah.
And here in the States, we have roughly, I want to say 13 states that have passed legislation for family leave. But we have 50 states in this country.
Right.
So we're a little behind compared to other countries. And I think there's at least 13 or 15 other countries around the world who actually give families that time off that's needed. So I just think it's
like
crazy.
480 or 490 days.
Sweden.
I mean, you have Germany, 2 months.
Insane.
You have Canada. You have Lithuania.
And it's paid.
Yes.
Well, Canada is also a social
Germany offers up to 14 months.
Now let's get this. Let's get down to the facts. There's something that Kia mentioned that's very important. She said that the states passed legislation. What this is talking about is asking, and I read what VP Harris is talking about, which is she wants to what they call universal leave, right? Which would mean you are forcing businesses, small businesses, all businesses alike, to have to give 12 weeks. Who has to pay for that? I have no problem with the leave. That's not the thing, because if you actually look, Republicans stood up for the leave. President Trump went a step further and said, I'm all for federal employees getting 12 weeks paid leave. So we need to balance it so that it's not hurting small businesses.
But these countries have been able to do it.
Correct.
I mean, they found that business and economies have adapted to fostering stronger employee retention, increased productivity, and greater gender equality in the workplace.
See, there
by
you go.
doing
It sounds like it's woke. Let's stick with the fact that you're
Just
going.
woke.
Let's just go.
Bring up to the fact that if you're going to promote families, then promote family.
Promote
if you're going
families,
to
but
say
don't
you stand for families,
don't
then
get woke. Gender equality.
What is woke,
we
Will?
got.
What is woke? Please
Let's
define.
not be woke.
Define
We want
for
to
our
get
viewers
down
what
to.
woke
We don't want to wake up. We want to
But
stay
you know
asleep.
what? It's
Will, can you
interesting
please
because
define?
We stay
Kia said she just targeted us by saying that if you want them to have children,
Right.
and you want to protect that, but then you don't want to do this, right? Okay, what's the same thing with some, let me narrow it down because I don't want Kia to come
I will.
Wonder Woman.
Because I'm ready.
But
I'm ready.
let's be honest. Most of these people are not for the traditional nuclear family.
But here's the thing. We are in America, baby. Families look differently than what they did back in the 60s
But
and 50s.
what is a nuclear family?
A nuclear family is two individuals who are deciding to raise a family.
What is the true definition of a nuclear family? One man, one woman, children.
You can find it on Google.
That may be the new Harrison Biden dictionary, but I'm talking about the original context
Oh,
of
my
it.
goodness.
I hear you, Will, but at the end of the day, families look different now.
Okay,
You're not going to
that's
always
that's
find
fine.
a man and a woman. You may find them and they.
You may find a birthing person.
You may find someone,
right, yes.
two people who want to raise a family joint.
Right. Coming up next, find out what's been trending on social media, and we have the latest polls. So don't move. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Baby.
Welcome back. Social media has been keeping us in the loop on the 2024 presidential election. Let's check out some social media updates. Florida is taking a hard stance by threatening criminal charges against TV stations airing ads related to abortion. The state's health department is demanding that stations pull an ad urging voters to oppose the 6-week abortion ban at the polls. Shakia, do you think this is an intentional way to hinder information about the ban and how it reaches voters?
Absolutely. When you have a governor of a red state that has a supermajority of Republicans leading in the state legislature, you're gonna see stuff like this, and I'm going to choose my words very, very wisely. Censorship is real, and I think this is a prelude to what we can see should Trump take office. You know, you have red states who have governors that resemble Trump, and I'll just call them mini Trumpers, or mini MAGA or black MAGA folks. And so you're gonna see taxpayers, their dollars going to senseless things like this. And when I say censorship is real, this is a form, like where is all the chaos about, you know, freedom of speech? Y'all always talking about your gun rights and all those things, but where is the freedom of censorship? I mean, the freedom of speech.
Let's be real. We've been censored for the last 4 years dealing with this this current administration stuff. They've censored us until Elon Musk was able to take over.
Censored on what though, Will?
I've been censored.
Books?
I have been targeted as a Republican.
Yes. I know that.
Okay, so on who?
Taking books.
No, and that's not, all this stuff is just woke ideology that y'all talking about.
That is not woke,
because
Will.
no
They are
one,
literally taking
you
books
cannot
away.
ban a book.
I think I'd rather be awake
actual book
than sleep.
ban means that it does not exist. Can you not walk and go on Amazon and get it? Can you not go into any bookstore and get it?
This is why banning
so
books
let's go
in
back to
school
this.
is
Let's go back.
important
Let's
because
go.
you have people
No,
like
what is
Will
important is
who think
education, not
that
indoctrination.
This is not a real issue.
Your
for
children should not
Americans.
read about have to have oral sex with another child
And
at
so,
elementary
and that's
school.
the problem.
And
You think that this is a sexual content.
Please
This is
let
not
me
about
know that
sexuality.
is talking
it's
about.
Not about
It's just
sexuality.
history.
It's history
It's
that's
No,
being erased.
these books was in there. I've seen it myself. These books were books on oral sex inside of the elementary
So when did you
schools.
learn about sex ed, Will?
I learned about sex ed only properly taught in middle school.
But what about
Okay.
history?
This is not about history.
Oh,
This was talking about sexual and then again.
So-
See, there you go again.
No,
there
no,
you go
it's not
again.
me.
We were saying
It
The
is this-
Republican Party,
listen,
again,
We
doesn't
didn't supposed to be
have
talking about
solid
abortion. That was the
answers.
topic.
Y'all don't have solid answers for nothing.
I gave you the solid answers.
Nothing. Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Trump's social
Hallelujah.
media campaign is making a major comeback on Wall Street as the election approaches, with traders viewing it as a bet on his chances of returning to the White House. Will this surge in Trump's business success boost his political momentum heading into Election Day?
Well, of course. President Trump has business acumen, something that some of the other cohorts that is out there do not have. But because he has this business acumen, this right here is showing that he's still relevant. And so it's surging. He's a businessman. Now, most people want these paid actors that is running for office today, but he's not a paid actor.
Oh.
He's someone that's able to go out there and get the job done. So I think so.
Speaking of paid actor, let's not forget that President Trump got his start with The Apprentice, okay? No one knew who Trump really was if you weren't from New York. You had to tune in to him once a week on Thursdays to figure out his business acumen.
How many people watch Home Alone?
And speaking of business acumen, we're talking about the same man who actually filed for bankruptcy 4 or 6 times. So how are we going to allow a man who is also a convicted felon, let's not forget that, who goes around grabbing crotches, yeah? Okay.
That's right.
So
And
now
has
she's
pending
targeting.
charges.
How many of other
and
people
who is
watching are
telling the
convicted
American
felons?
people that he is going to, make America great again by strengthening the economy. The economy was only strengthened by him because he took what Obama did prior to him coming into office.
That is definitely a lie.
So let's just keep it real.
That is definitely a lie.
Let's keep it real,
That
and
is
let's
definitely a
talk
lie.
about how the Dow was actually at its lowest point, almost wiping away his gains with this business acumen that Will is talking about. So let's bring everything to the table, Pooh.
Yeah, let's bring it to the table, and I can bring it to the table, and I can tell you right now that that is not factual.
Let's eat.
This economy was established on President Trump's time as the greatest economy. We fail to remember and to actually articulate what he has done for the economy of Black Americans.
Oh, let's not do that.
You have had a person that sat in office for 8 entire years. You got one in there that's the vice president Z, even though you said civic studies show
you
she can't
talk
do anything.
about Black Wall Street. You can't have Black Wall Street and Trump in the same sentence.
Why?
You got to pick which one we're going to talk about.
Why?
Because if you want to do a little history lesson, which is what I learned in
the money
school
that
from
he
the
put into
textbooks
the
that were
money that
allowed
he
in
put
school,
into the HBCU,
the Black
the
massacre
money
that
he put in
happened
there.
in
Let's
Tulsa,
talk about the
Oklahoma
money
in
that he
1921.
allocated to Black
White
people.
folks
What
were
money
pissed
did
off at the
Harris
prosperity
allocate? What
of Black
money did
business
Biden add?
owners,
Let's be honest.
and so they
And-
burned the town down.
and-
So let's talk about
They burned
Black
the town
No,
down.
and Black
that
Wall
was
Street.
Democrats that
You
burned
can't
the
do
town
that
down.
with Republicans.
Democrats water hose the Black people of the 1921 race riot because they were mad that these people were successful and thriving.
Woo.
That's the facts.
But y'all want
Democrats,
Trump to run this
white,
country.
racist Democrats
You can't have
that the
Black
Black
Wall Street
Democrats sit in
and
their
Trump
lap
in the
every day.
same
On
That's the
that
truth.
note,
That's all I'm
let's
saying.
check in on the latest polls. Some are calling this a deadlock. As the latest NBC News polls show, both Harris and Trump tied at 48% support from registered voters, with only a small group of undecided voters remaining. With the race so close, do you think these undecideds would tip the balance in the final stretch, Willie?
Absolutely, because the undecided is just, they're not deciding between really about Republican or Democrat. It's
Okay.
the difference between freedom or tyranny. And what we're seeing right now on the left side is full of tyranny. They're socialists, they're Marxists, they're coming in, they're very destructive to the ideologies that make up the American dream that we all strive for. And so these undecided, they're going to go down to the polls on November 5th, and they're going to vote for Donald John Trump.
Trump is really just trying to win the presidency, y'all, to keep from going to prison. That's all I got to say. Folks who are still on the fence about voting for either Kamala or Trump, you would think that this would be a no-brainer, but the sad part is Trump really feeds off the brainless folks of white poor folks. And so you see a lot of them who walk around chanting, Trump is my president, Trump is God. It's almost like a cult. So a lot of them, and you know this, Will, you know your party. You know your party is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Your party is also the folks who think that we are, the Democrats are now controlling the weather to cause hurricanes and disasters in the country.
Oh, let's not talk about Democrats who think that because the sun is so hot, that's messing with the economy. That's the Democrats. So we want to talk about level of cuckoo.
Baby, to answer
let's
your
talk
question,
about that.
To answer your question,
y'all can't measure the cuckoo.
I do believe that folks are still going to be trying to figure out where they're going to land their vote. Early voting starts next week for a lot of states. And so I think the reason why folks are still tossed within this election cycle is because some of them are really bound by fear, and others already know that they're going to vote for Kamala. Fear because if you don't bow the knee to Trump, he is very known. He's known to retaliate. So, or not send you aid. So I think there's a lot of fear-mongering with that.
Speaking of the polls, on July 21st, 2024, President Joe Biden announced he could withdraw. He was going to withdraw from the 2024 presidential race and officially endorse Vice President Kamala Harris as his replacement. With this significant shift happening so close to Election Day, if Harris had more time to campaign, do you think the race would still be this tight, Shakia?
I hate to admit, but I would say, yeah. I think it would still be this tight. And I say that because I don't think America as a whole, I probably shouldn't say as a whole. I think there's a great deal of people who are ready for a woman to lead this country now. So back in 2016, when Hillary was running against Trump, she actually led the polls almost weekly with votes in battleground states and small communities and all of that. And then she ended up losing at the end, right? I think she lost that election for a number of reasons, but one in particular, America was not ready for a woman to lead. And so now we have Trump, who's now running against another female, but this time she's a Black woman. Yeah, she's a sister. And he is threatened by the very existence of a Black woman, an immigrant, a woman from immigrant parents one who is not intimidated by his rhetoric, who doesn't need his protection as president, which he said that he was going to protect women in this country, which is real nasty and sketch. But the fact that she is able to hold her own, I think America now is ready to see what does this new horizon look like with the female leading the charge.
After I let her finish. So
I appreciate you. I appreciate that, Will.
Let's get to this. First and foremost, this whole thing about him going, listen, they drugged Biden. They drugged Biden.
Yes.
And they put Biden.
This is what happened.
Biden woke up and didn't realize that he was no longer running. He was no longer running.
I thought he was going to say something.
but to the point,
mic off.
But to the point that you're trying to make, absolutely not, because her running from the beginning would have just shown it would have been worse.
Oh yeah.
Because she would have dug a deeper hole. So I think this is good for her to stay where she is, because she would have lost tremendously.
Wow.
She's done great things. She's made great strides.
She's
she hasn't
done great
been perfect
things to
in
those
this campaign.
that want to do great things
She's
with
raised over $1 billion within like 2.5
Congratulations.
months. She's doing a great job.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Americana. Until tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m., we're going to meet right back here. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.